Welcome to another episode, and in this episode I want to talk to you guys about 5 reasons why you must ride a motorcycle if you're not already riding. Obviously this video is mostly for people who have never ridden before in their life and considered it but are just a little bit not sure about it. But this video is also for you because it'll remind you of all the reasons why you started riding in the first place. So with that said, let's take off. When I started riding a motorcycle about a year and a half ago, I didn't know as much as I do now. Whenever I first started learning how to ride a motorcycle, I had no idea that there were so many different types of motorcycles out there. Being the type of person that's always the sporty type, I naturally gravitated towards a sporty motorcycle, which was a KTM RC390, and that was my first ever motorcycle. But I quickly learned there are a lot of different bikes out there. You have so many different classes of motorcycles, and for each class you have different variations of power. And that's something I had no idea about. I didn't know that there was such a thing as a sport bike, and then a naked sport bike, and then you have an adventure bike, and then you have full-on super sports and super bikes that go upwards of 190 to 200 horsepower. So if you're a brand new rider, you got a lot of different choices out there. And motorcycles have come a long way from 20 years ago, and I've done plenty of research, and motorcycles these days have become so much better than they used to be. They're a lot safer, and they have so much technology packed into it for safety purposes and for other reasons such as riding on a track. But these days motorcycle tires are one of the biggest improvements that we've had, and as a result of that, tires are much better than they used to be. They're stickier and a lot safer as a result, and it doesn't really cost that much. I mean, considering how much they used to be before versus how much they are now, prices haven't exponentially gone up. They're at a relatively affordable price, considering that you're going to change your tires every maybe 4,000 to 6,000 miles, depending on how you ride your motorcycle. Now if you're me, you're going to replace them a lot sooner because I track my bike and everything. But aside from that, brakes have become so much better. Motorcycle suspension has gotten a lot better, and as a result of that, motorcycles don't have that harsh feeling, that rough feeling that they used to. You're going to find that most modern bikes in the $8,000 to $10,000 range these days, brand new, out of the showroom floor, have adjustable suspension. The adjustable suspension can be tuned when you're on the track, but then you can tune it back to street mode once you're on the street, obviously. But the suspensions these days are very plush depending on the type of bike you get. Obviously, if you're going to get a super sport, then it's going to have a more rougher feel. Oh man, check this out. This is one of the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen. Aside from that, the gear you wear has gotten so much better, and things have just become a lot safer than they used to be. When I first learned how to ride a motorcycle, I spent some good money and I made the right decision on purchasing the right gear. A couple of months after I started learning how to ride, I got into my first accident. A car rear-ended me as I was entering the highway with my Ducati. First of all, I was pretty stupid to own a Ducati. But regardless, my gear saved my life because it was such great quality gear. That CE level 2 protection, and that's what I recommend for you if you don't have gear at the moment. I'll put a link to all the gear that I have down in the description below. Obviously the equipment that I have is premium quality gear, so it's going to come at a premium cost. As an example, my helmet costs around $500. The jacket that I have, I switched it from a full leather jacket to now being a textile jacket because it's just too hot. Considering that my body style is pretty athletic, the Dainese jackets and gear fits me like an absolute glove, and I love that. And as a result, I bought their boots, I bought their pants, I bought their jacket. I'm pretty much a Dainese fanboy. It's just quality gear. It makes me feel safe. It makes me feel secure that in the event of an accident, God forbid something happens, I will be protected. And I think it proved itself because I did get into an accident and it absolutely saved my life. I'm pretty thankful that I bought the gear that I did and I spent the kind of money that I did. But anyways, links in the description below for all the gear that I have. Looks like I'm bringing you guys to all my favorite spots today, but I gotta change the GoPro battery. But in the meantime, you guys enjoy the views. Yes, I understand riding is a risky activity, no matter who you are and how old you are. If you tell someone that you're going to ride a motorcycle, chances are they're going to tell you how risky it is, and they're going to tell you not to do it. And I completely understand that. There are people who just shouldn't ride a motorcycle, and those type of people who constantly get into accidents are probably not the type of people who should be riding a motorcycle. But if you have a pretty clean record, you have situational awareness, and overall a good driving record, then I think you should be fine. But reckless people will always find trouble no matter where they go and no matter what kind of vehicle they ride. While you're riding a motorcycle, you have to make a lot of decisions, and some of your decisions, although as calculated as they may seem, may not be the best decisions. Anything can be risky, even driving a car, even riding a motorcycle, even taking a walk for that matter. Riding a motorcycle has absolutely changed my life, and I have gotten into one accident, and you know what? When you get into riding a motorcycle, chances are that you might get into an accident as well. But that's something that I accepted when I started riding a motorcycle, and that's something you have to accept as well. What's that old saying? Expect the best, but accept the worst. And that's what I've done when I started riding a motorcycle. But the good news is, if you do take the risk and start riding a motorcycle, there's so much satisfaction that comes with it. You see, riding a motorcycle is something that you do with your entire body and with all of your senses. Your right hand controls the brakes. Your left hand controls the clutch. Your right foot controls the rear brakes. Your left foot goes up and down in the gears. Your eyes see everything in front of you and out in the distance. Your nose smells everything, and I'm talking about everything. For us humans, not every smell is a good smell. Because there were times where I've been driving and I smell skunk, and it stunk. Skunk, stunk. Oh, that rhymed. That was cool. Totally unplanned. But anyways, you get what I'm saying. But regardless, riding a motorcycle takes full advantage of every single one of your senses, and you feel alive doing it. It's one of those things where if you're having a bad day and you ride your motorcycle, there's nothing on your mind. You're really not thinking about anything else except the pleasure of riding a motorcycle. Your attention goes to the exhaust. Your attention goes to holding the handlebar, accelerating, looking at the cars behind you, looking at the cars in front of you. There is no time to relax when you're riding a motorcycle. Your senses are exhilarated physically, emotionally, and mentally. Oh, listen to that. It goes all the way up to 16,000 RPM, and at high RPM levels it sounds like an F1 car. It's too bad these motorcycles aren't being made anymore, but if you're at a point in your life where you can afford a gem like this and you have enough experience to ride something like this, highly suggest these bikes, man, because these kind of bikes you're never going to see these in showrooms ever again. When I'm riding this motorcycle, or motorcycles in general, I'm really not thinking about my day. I'm really not thinking about yesterday or my past or any of the problems I have. It's me, my motorcycle, my senses, the road. That's what I typically put my focus on. If you want to call it meditation, go for it. It's kind of like moving meditation, if you want to call it that. By the way, I just hit 3,002 miles on my R6. I think a third of these miles are track miles. Yeah, I love this bike, man. But anyways, the last thing I want to touch up on is the community aspect of riding a motorcycle. As you may or may not know, I started this channel about a year and a half, going into 2 years. And as a result of that, I've built up a pretty sizable community in this span of time, and I have every one of you to thank. So thank you so much for giving this video a like. So thank you once again for subscribing if you haven't already. Now, even if you're not a corny YouTuber like I am, there's still a huge community out there. If you're a Harley rider, if you're a sport bike rider, or even an adventure, having an adventure bike, there's someone out there for you to spend time with, hang out. And one of the cool things is when you're out and about riding a motorcycle, there's always someone else riding, and that connection you get with someone else when you wave your hand and give them the peace sign, it's just one of those things that makes you feel part of something. And that's probably one of my most favorite things. Here in SoCal, there's thousands of riders and you get to see them all the time. There isn't one day that I don't get to see another rider. So it gives you this whole overall feeling of belonging to something. And I like that a lot. Let's go in here and see what this place is about. There's so many different riding groups these days that you can join. There's so many different apps that you can download, and there's always someone to ride with. So if you're the type of person that's really not that social in your life, well, when you start riding a motorcycle, you automatically become a social person, because there's always someone to ride with. There's always an event going on where you'll get to join other riders and have discussions around motorcycles, and who knows, you might even find your partner or your new best friend. But these are the things that I decided to talk to you guys about. And if you haven't jumped on board to riding a motorcycle, today is the best day. As I mentioned since the beginning of this video, technology has improved, motorcycles have become so much better, and overall gear has become a lot safer. So anyways, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and check out my playlist of new rider videos, because there's a ton of them where I show you how to ride a motorcycle from A to Z. And until the next episode, guys, keep the rubber side down. Ciao for now.